What's up YouTube, my name is Garrett Blackwood, also known as Gazzy123. We're here at the Venetian to play cards. It is the second day of my Las Vegas trip. First day was a lot of fun, although editing the video and getting it ready has been very stressful. Lots of technological mishaps and stuff like that, but anyway, you guys don't care about that. We're here at the Venetian to play some 5-10. It didn't look like the game was going to go, but it is looking very likely now. Yeah, really excited to play today. And that's it. Yeah, we're ready to play. Let's jump in and play some cards. 5-10 at the Venetian, day 2 in Las Vegas. Couldn't be happier. Let's go. Alright guys, it is a beautiful day here in Las Vegas in late May. I'm heading into the Venetian Casino here. As always, I want to give a massive shout out to the Venetian for allowing me to vlog and helping me throw this game together. I'll hopefully put these games on throughout the series, so if anyone is in town and wants to play 5-10 or 5-10-20 over the summer, drop me a message on social media and I can get you in the game. I've got one rule: no nits allowed. On to our first hand of the day here, and it comes 2 minutes into the session. I am in the small blind with Queen 10 of clubs. The cutoff is raised to $40. That's a 4x open. There's no straddle in his hand. And I'm going to put in the re-raise here out of the small blind to $160. Action is back on my opponent. He's not a professional, but I don't have any other reads on him other than that. And he makes the call. Heads up, we go to the flop. It is Jack 6-4 heart diamond spade. No backdoor flush draw for me, so I decide to check this time. And happy to see it go check, check. The turn is the 8 of diamonds, which brings a flush draw, but it also gives me a gut shot. And with just queen high, I decide to take a stab for $210, hoping he doesn't call, because I am absolutely blasting this one on the river if I need to. Thankfully, he's just going to fold, and I don't have to bluff the river here, get called, and then be stuck $800 after just a couple of minutes today. Absolutely no time to waste here, because 2 minutes later, I'm in the big blind with ace-8 offsuit. The straddle is on for this hand. We're playing 5-10-20. The cutoff flips in for 20. I call for the extra 10 out of the big blind, and the straddle checks his option. 3 ways to the flop. It is ace-8-4 with a flush draw. Dream flop for me here with top 2 pair. I start off with a check, hoping to bust out an early check raise for the day, but of course, it just checks round. The turn is an offsuit 3. Time to start building this pot here. I bet out for $40. The straddle is going to make the call. He's my new poker friend called Graham. Cutoff gets out of the way, and we see an offsuit 7 hit the river. I bet again, this time for $140. My opponent immediately clucks his tongue, sits forward and asks how much it is. Eventually he does make the call. I show my hand and he mucks his. He tells me afterwards that he looked me up with a 4, and I absolutely believe that. I'd also completely forgotten at the start of the session to do my artsy video stack thing that I had learned from watching Rampage's vlogs. Here it is 20 minutes later. I had bought in for $2,400. I'm up a few $100 already, hoping to keep that going when I pick up ace queen offsuit in the hijack. I raise it on up to $30. Graham to my left is going to put in the re-raise. He makes it $100 to go. It folds all the way back around to me, and I can sometimes call here, sometimes 4-bet. I decide to choose the latter, and I make it $260 to go. He clearly doesn't believe me because he goes ahead and makes the call. Heads up to the flop we go. It is 10-7-4 with 2 hearts. It's not the best flop in the world for me here, but I do have some backdoors, and I could make some better hands fold here, so I decide to bet out here for $270, around half the size of the pot. This guy just does not believe me today because, again, he makes the call. The turn is the 7 of diamonds. I toy with the idea of barreling again, but I've got enough king-high type hands to do that with, so I just check it on over to my opponent. Happy to see him check it on back. The river is an offsuit 6. Really not a great card because hands like 6-5 and 9-8 have just gotten there. Again, though, my hand's just a little too strong to bluff, so I check again, and after a few seconds, my opponent bows his head and checks back. I say I've got ace-high. He nods. Surely not. I show my ace queen. He nods again. I win. He shows me ace 5 of spades as he mucks. I wasn't the only one going off on a little adventure there. This is going to put me up $840 after just 20 minutes or so of play today. This could be a very, very good day indeed. Action for this next hand is kind of funny. I get a call from my housemate Ollie just before this next hand. Let's listen in and see what happens. Say again? Yeah. Yeah, I'll call you back in a minute, all right? I'll call you back in 1 minute. 30. Is that a tell if I'm on the phone and I hang up and say I'll call you back in a minute? Yeah. Is that a tell? I leave some tissues. Really ridiculous tells given off by me there when I look down at 2 aces and hang up the phone and sit forward and play the hand. Next up, we play a single board no limit hold'em bomb pot. I take it down with king 7 offsuit on a king high board. Not a huge pot, but it's always nice to win these and sort of free roll the rig for the rest of the day. Keep an eye out later for one of the most ridiculous bomb pots I've ever played. Next up, we've got a slightly better king high here in the form of king queen offsuit in the big blind. The low jack is raised to $30, the hijack calls, the button calls, and I call in the big blind, maybe squeezing if my hand is suited, but deciding to just call when it's unsuited. 4 ways we go to the flop. It is jack 10-7 rainbow. So close to flopping the nuts, but not quite. Original raiser bets out for $50. The hijack then puts in the raise, but it's only $150 to go. The button gets out of the way, and this is a bit of a weird spot for me here, but I think we've got a pretty clear call. My draw is just a little bit too strong to fold, and maybe my king and my queen are live as well, so I go ahead and make the call. The low jack actually gets out the way here, so we're going heads up to the turn, which is the 8 of diamonds. Flush draw now possible. I check again, and I'm very happy to see the hijack just check it on back. The river is a lovely 9 of diamonds. Sure, the backdoor flush gets there, but it's really unlikely he's got that given the action, so I decide to bet out here, and I bet out pretty big. I make it $600 to go, hoping he somehow has a queen in his hand. He then cuts out the $600 and then starts counting the rest of his stack. This is not a good sign. Big strength tell from non-pros here when they do this. I tell myself that I'm just folding versus a shove if it comes in. I'm not even going to think about it. If he goes all in, I think he's got the flush. I'm going to let it go. After a few seconds, he does raise, but he only makes it $1,500 to go. Ugh, I was happily folding here versus a shove. I look back and see that I've got the queen of diamonds in my hand as well, so given the price we're getting, I sigh and make the call. He's got ace jack of diamonds. This is an absolute milking from my opponent. I was genuinely folding this versus a shove, but he's made it the perfect amount, and this pot worth over $3,000 is going the way of my opponent. I gotta say, really nicely played by him. This is also going to put me into the red for the day now. I'm down about $700. Kind of disappointing after that nice start I made, but hey, the grind goes on. 20 minutes later, I'm in the small blind with 5-4 of clubs. There have been a raise and 2 calls before it gets to me. Probably should fold this hand in the small blind, but we're never going to make it to 1 million subs on YouTube playing like that, so I go ahead and make the call. The big blind calls as well, and we go 5 ways to the flop. 8-4-3 rainbow with 1 club. Not a bad start here. It checks on over to the button, who's going to take a stab for $100. I've got second pair and backdoor galore, so I go ahead and make the call. Everyone else is just going to fold the hand. We go heads up to the turn. It's the 8 of clubs. I've now got second pair and a flush draw. The button bets again, this time for $220. Now, I could be drawing dead here. This call that I'm making here could be money into the abyss. To the river, well, if I was drawing dead, it's about to get a little more costly because the 2 of clubs rolls off. I check it on over to my opponent, and he fires out again, this time for $720. I'm, of course, never folding after getting there on the river, so I go ahead and make the call. It turns out we both got there. He's got red 6-5 offsuit for the straight, and last time I checked, flushes beat straights, so this pot is coming my way. Like I say, I was really sure my opponent was strong, but happy to see that he was value betting worse, and I got to drag in the pot. Bit of a swingy day so far, and these bomb pots are only adding to the swinginess of the day. For this next one, I've got queen 5 offsuit on the button. The flop is jack 5-5 rainbow. What a dream flop for me here. It checks all the way around to me, and I bet out for $90, praying for some calls from some players with their top pairs. The big blind is going to make the call. He's a professional player from Italy, and everyone else just folds. The turn is the 8 of spades, and he's got all the top pairs in his hand, and some worse 5x, and obviously some turn draws. So I, of course, bet again here. I make it $320 to go. My opponent thinks for a few seconds and then raises me to $1,010. This went from being a really nice spot to pretty grim pretty quickly. I don't think he's the type of player to raise a hand like 7-5 here, and it's very hard for him to be bluffing. You guys know what's coming. I make a classic Gazzy B vlog, disgustingly tight fold. Really, really don't love it, but I think it's the right play here. If you think you're beat, you gotta just fold your hand. I ask him to show 1 time for the vlog. He shows me a 5 and then an 8. Boys and girls, I am a wizard. All hail Lord Gazzy B, king of the disgustingly tight folds. A London OG live reg who I'm not going to name. Don't think he's watching, but if he is, big shout out to him. His common catchphrase was, the print is in the fold, and it's absolutely true. Being able to fold when you think you're beat is where you make your money in this game. Hovering right around even after that last hand. And next up, I'm in the big blind with king deuce of diamonds. The button limps in for $10. The small blind makes it 40 to go. I make the call here in position versus the raiser, and the button calls as well. 3 ways we go to the flop. It is 5-4-3 with 2 diamonds. What a flop that is for me here with just king high. The small blind bets out for $60, and I think given we're in position and we're kind of deep, bloating the pot is definitely the play here with such a strong draw. I make it $240 to go. The button doesn't want to fold her hand just yet. She likes her hand enough to call for $240. and the small blind calls as well. This pot is escalating. I've got king high right now. Give me some instant service, dealer. Nope, it's a black 10. The small blind doesn't snap check to me like I expected him to do. He's thinking it over, and then he decides enough is enough for this hand. He's all in for $1,900. Really, really frustrating. I don't think we can call here. I tried to do some math in my head, but I'm a feel player, not a math player. The voice in my head is like, okay, 9 outs plus 6 divided by pi squared by the fact he's in seat 1. Yep. Gonna just fold. Really, really want the button to call here so I can see what would have been, but she just lets her hand go. The small blind immediately delightedly informs me that he knew I was on a draw. I asked the dealer if we can rabbit hunt. Unfortunately, he says he's not allowed to. Sometimes not knowing is better, I guess, so I'm kind of happy in the end that he wasn't able to show me what the river would have been. Not long after this hand, I pick up pocket 5s in middle position. Under the gun's the same guy from the last hand. He makes it 40 to go. I make a bit of a loose call here in MP, but it's a loose passive table, and there's no rake today. We're very likely going to see a flop. Nobody's going to squeeze behind. I think this is okay to flick in the call. A couple of other players call as well. We go 4 ways to the flop, which is 3-3 deuce rainbow. It's pretty impressive to flop an overpair with pocket 5s. Middle position bets out for $100. I don't love it, but not folding just yet. Everyone else gets out the way, and we go heads up to the 6 of clubs on the turn. I've got a gut shot to go with my pair of 5s now, and under the gun bets out for $260. Once again, I can't go anywhere just yet. Maybe I've got the best hand as well, so I go ahead and make the call. If I didn't have the best hand before the river, it's very likely that I do now. What's more, under the gun is not slowing down on this river. He bets again, this time for $720. I am praying that he's just got there with a hand like ace 4 or something. I fake tank for a little while and then jam all in. I fade the 6's full snap call, and also delighted to fade the jack 10 of clubs snap folds. My opponent goes deep into the tank. He's asking for a count, shaking his head. I really think he's going to call me here. 2 or 3 minutes go past. This poor fella is clearly in agony as he deliberates over his decision, and eventually he makes his decision. He folds. Dang it. I am nice enough to show my hand, and he is delighted with himself. He tells me later that he had pocket jacks. I absolutely believe him. Very quickly after this hand, I head out for a wee break from all the action and a quick chat with the camera. All right, very quick mid-session up there, up about $1,200 or so. Really great game today in terms of everyone's having a good time. They're laughing and joking. Dealers telling stories about Chip Reese cockfighting and stuff like that. It's been a really fun day all in all. I'm up about $1,200. It's been a relatively fun day. I've had a lot of interesting pots. Made that amazing fold with the Queen 5. Got milked with a King Queen. That nice river with the pocket 5s. It's been a really interesting vlog so far. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Click the sub button if you are. Yeah, let's get back into it and see if we can kick on and have a really nice day. Yeah, let's just keep going. All right, back into the action we go. Stack sitting very pretty here on over $4,000. I'm up about $1,100 for the day, but it's also going to take about 90 minutes before I play my next hand of note. I'm in the low jack with ace 10 of clubs and raise it on up to $30. The cutoff is a reg who's been playing kind of snug so far. He makes it $100 to go. Folds all the way back around to me, and we can for sure 4-bet this hand sometimes, but like I say, this reg's been playing kind of tight so far, so I decide to always just call. Heads up, we go to King, Queen 4, 2 clubs, 1 spade. Absolute monster draw for me again here. The cutoff is going to bet out for $80, and we can definitely raise our hand here with such a nice draw, but like I say, he's been playing kind of snug so far. He also smashes this board, so I decide to just call, hoping for instant service on the turn, but it's the 6 of hearts. The bets keep on coming as well from my opponent. This time he bets for $270. Again, versus a non-snug player here, I can definitely shove all in and make him fold a hand like ace jack or ace 10 for his last $1,000 or so, but I decide to take the ABC route versus this player and just call, ready to lead out for all in if I get there on the river. Can we get there? Nope, it's the 2 of hearts. We did not get there. The jam comes in for my opponent, and I waste no time in just check folding my hand. As much as I'd love to always get there, you can't always get there. You gotta just whiff sometimes. Like I say, super card dead here, bleeding a little back. And next up, I'm in the big blind with pocket 6s. The hijack is raised to $30. He's a new player to the game. The button makes the call. He's also a new player to the game, and I call out the big blind. Set mining here multi-way. To the flop we go. It is King 6-3 all clubs. Middle set for me, but it's a monotone board. We check it on over to the button, who bets out for $110. This is a pot-sized stab from the button here. I could consider a raise versus a smaller size, but versus this big stab, I decide to just call. We go heads up to the turn, which is an offsuit 9. Button continues to absolutely blast here. He makes it $220 to go. 2 absolute bombs from this older fella on a monotone board. I could, of course, be ahead here, and I've also got boat outs if I need them, so I, of course, make the call. It'd make life real easy if the board pairs on the river, but instead, it's an offsuit jack. The button is going to bet again very quickly on the river. He makes it $400 to go. Again, like earlier, I probably would have folded versus an all-in or even a really big bet here. I really would have just folded it. The guy looks very strong, but versus a smaller bet like this, I decide to just go ahead and look him up. He turns over his cards. He's got ace-9 of clubs. Yep, that'll do it. This is a bit of a nasty cooler, and it's going to send me down $1,000 for the day here. I got off to a great start today, but just never really kicked on. Still, though, there's plenty of time left in the day, and next up I'm in the hijack with 6-5 of clubs. Under the gun is raised to $30, and I put in a spicy 3-bet here. I make it $110 to go. We're a little deeper with this player compared to the rest of the table, hence my slightly bigger 3-bet size. Under the gun is going to make the call, and we see the flop come down king, 3 deuce with 2 hearts. It's a good board for my range here, so I decide to c-bet with my gut shot for $80, and my opponent makes the call. Looking for a bit of help on the turn, and I kind of get it. It's the 4 of hearts. Could be a great turn, or it could be a really expensive one if he's just made a flush. Very clear bet for us on the turn. I bet again, this time for $210, and again, my opponent makes the call. He can definitely slow play flushes here, so I need to be a little careful on the river. The river is the 10 of spades. Nothing at all changes, and again, my opponent checks. We've got a very, very clear bet for value here, and we can just cross the bridge of getting raised if we ever come to that. So I decide to bet out here for $420. This gets snap called from my opponent. I mean snap called. I announce straight, and he turns over his hand. He's got ace king offsuit for top pair, top kicker. What a lovely turn card for me there. He tells me earlier that he was trapping me pre-flop, and I tell him that if he did put in the 4-bet, I wasn't folding, and he was probably going to get stacked. So he's kind of lucky he just flatted in the end. Back to within touching distance of profit now, hoping this ace-10 offsuit will get me over the line. I'm under the gun and raise it on up to $30. The game is currently 6-handed. A couple of players are away from the table. The cutoff makes the call, and we go heads up to the flop, which is ace-8-3 with 2 hearts. This is the guy who I had ace-10 versus earlier. Like I say, he's playing kind of snug. I don't expect him to be too loose here. I check it on over to my opponent, and he just checks it back. The turn is an offsuit queen, and I decide that I am polarized here with my betting range, so my sizing scheme must reflect that. And I decide to bet out for $110 over the size of the pot. This, in hindsight, is really sloppy, because if we're overbetting here, i.e. we're not splitting our range, we only have one size and that size is overbet, then I don't think ace-10 can make it into our betting range. We probably want to go like ace-jack at the very worst. I think this is just a little too sloppy for me. It is a little late in the day, so I'll forgive myself. My opponent thinks for a few seconds, and he makes the call. To the river, it is a lovely 10. I continue with my polarized strategy, and I bet again, this time for $360. He sighs, which is a good sign, picks up calling chips, which is an even better sign, and then puts them in the middle, which is the best sign. I show my hand, and he taps the table. He shows me his cards. He's got ace-jack. What a really, really lucky river that was for me there. This is enough to get me back into profit for the day, and with that, I decide I am done for the day. Racking up here and saying goodbye to the table. It was a really good game today. Lots of fun as well, and I'm really happy that I was able to get out of the hole and book my second win in 2 days here in Vegas. Remember, guys and girls, if you want to play in this game, we can play 5-10, 5-10, 20 throughout the summer. Drop me a message on social media and I can get you in the game. Alright guys and girls, we are done. I won about $250 today. Very swingy day, but only up or down like 1200 at the best or worst. Yeah, I had a lot of fun and I played a lot of interesting hands. I feel like, again, I played really quite well today. Just lacked that power and heat to go on and have a smashing day. But on the flip side, I didn't have that like disgusting run back to have a really bad day. So I mean, I'll absolutely take a win as a win. I had a little walk through the streets of Las Vegas right now. Guys and girls, unfortunately my camera is gonna die as I spin it around and show you guys Las Vegas, so this is gonna have to be it for this session. If you enjoyed the show, please do click that sub button. Thanks as ever for watching. Until next time, take it easy.